Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Bournemouth 3, Everton 0. A second defeat against the Cherries in 4 days. Quite depressing, really. Joined by Gareth and Mike in the studio to go through this one. In a cathartic kind of way.
Yeah, another exciting performance down on the south coast. I don't even know where to begin.
No.
I mean, we complained about a lack of goals earlier in the season. I don't think that's what we had in mind, though, did it? Conceding 7 in a week to a team without a manager, right? Sniffing around Marcelo Bielsa and whatnot. I was at both games, and it was just beyond disgraceful, was the only way I could really describe it.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. I mean, obviously, the League Cup game, you can write off as 11 different players, didn't perform, whatever. But Saturday, you can't just write that off because, the Premier League is what, I think everybody's kind of accepting is the most important. I know people might argue and go, oh, we haven't won a trophy for whatever, but the Premier League, I think what the club are saying is the most important. The manager's kind of said it as well. So going to there 4 days after that performance and putting in a similar one is pathetic, really, from a team point of view. I mean, obviously, Calvert-Lewin is a huge miss for Everton. There's no question about it. Neil Maupay's come in, he's a different player. We obviously didn't have James Garner in the squad.
Yeah, which is disappointing money.
Massively disappointing, because I think he would have played. And he took him off on the Tuesday early.
He was probably the best player before he came off on Tuesday as well. Before Patterson's mistake, him and Patterson were the only two who were really positive at all, looked to be driving through, breaking any sort of lines. So.
And that's it. So I think he might have been included. But there's, I think the way we set up, we've just been talking before we started. I mean, are you surprised we've changed from the Palace game? Because we have changed the minute we beat Palace quite comfortably with a good structure, and we seem to have abandoned it.
I think logic suggests, obviously, it doesn't make sense one bit, does it? Best performance of the season, playing a certain formation with the same group of players, predominantly that sort of, coming into the side. And then since he's changed it up, I don't know why he's changed it up. Obviously, he must have seen something tactically that he's thought would be a benefit. He ain't changing it on purpose to make it worse. But what was that, 3-4 games ago? I'm carrying on doing the same thing, and that's what I can't comprehend as to what's the reason why, what's he seeing, because none of us can see it. And for me, if you're playing a 4-3-3 system, at the minute we're playing a 4, then Garner 1, then Iwobi 2, then Onana 3. It's like we're so narrow down the middle. To me, a 4-3-3 is typically sort of what a City or a Liverpool play, and you three are across the pitch.
Flats, aren't they?
I don't understand where we're trying to go with it, and that alienates the right and left back being able to get forward, because they would naturally then drop in for cover. So to me, the midfield individual players, I think we've got the players there in the squad. I just think he's really got to work out the best system and the best way of utilising those players for me.
Are you surprised that we changed from the Palace game, Gareth?
It doesn't make any sense to me, because it's not like, we came into the next match, which was Fulham, I believe, right? And we tried the 4-2-3-1 for 45 minutes or whatever, 60 minutes, and it didn't work. We didn't see it. We reverted straight back to what we were doing. And as much as, I think Idrissa Gueye for the nominal fee is a good signing, and he can still get around the pitch and get tackles, he's not good enough to be a lone pivot like that. Okay, City can get away with it. They have Rodri, arguably the best defensive midfielder in the world at the moment. Liverpool have Fabinho, who's been quality for seasons, right? So as much as Idrissa Gueye is good and definitely provides something that we did not have for the last couple seasons, pretty much since he left, right? We're not putting him in a position to succeed because we're asking him to do too much, and we're asking him to be almost the sole distributor of the ball from the center backs because Onana's pushed so high and Iwobi's pushed so high. And Idrissa Gueye's not that player on the ball. He never has been, and just because he went to PSG for a couple of years doesn't mean that he can do that now. So the fact that Lampard saw, it wasn't working, he changed it and he figured out something that might work and then just forgot about it, essentially, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, quite clearly, he's trying to use Onana in a way that compensates for Dominic Calvert-Lewin not being there. I get that on Saturday because of the Maupay thing, But we changed this up. Like you said, at Fulham, I was at Fulham. Even though we had chances in the first half, and we did, and we could have been a couple of goals up. The second half, we've just been on a downward spiral since. We were poor that day, and it's bled into the other games. Leicester, Onana was so high against the team that if we'd have actually just played the way we did against Palace, I think we may well have caused them more issues than we did. And then that ran into Saturday as well. And
it doesn't make sense. There is no logic to it. I think also as well, not the caveat to that, but obviously what doesn't help is I don't think Onana's individual performances have been great the last couple of games either. So that hasn't helped, albeit the system and where he's getting played, you know, is not. There's no balance to it. You know, it's.
Are we expecting too much from him? Higher up the pitch, I mean.
Potentially. I mean, at the end of the day, lads 20 years of age, come over into a new league, to a new team. You'd like to think that we can at least play him in his best position. When you find that position, which seems to be a little bit deeper, I feel like, then you build around that. But we're moving him out of position, and it all feels a bit disjointed. And what's frustrating, obviously, a few weeks ago we were sat on the 4 or 5 weeks ago we sat on the couch, and we felt that had a little bit of positivity around the back four. Felt like it could do a job. The midfield felt like it had a balance to it. And those players are all still there. So the only slight positive is that it is there. We can go back to it at some stage, hopefully. And then you've got James Garner to come into the team and supplement that as well. But right now, with what he's got on the pitch and the dynamic of what he's got doing, it just doesn't work. And that's where I think that the fans' frustration is coming with Frank. I don't think, you know, everyone's screaming for him. I don't think, I personally, not looking for him to be sacked. But there's got to be questions asked because his job fundamentally is to get points and results for Everton Football Club, and he's got that defence, that goalkeeper, that midfield. They're at least Premier League mid-table players, and they're not even performing like that, regardless of when you get to the front three. So for me, he's lost control of that midfield battle, which is even more getting isolated. Even more highlighting the front three issues for me.
This is what the manager had to say about the performance after the game.
Well, I think firstly the fans have a right to be disappointed. They've come down here twice this week and seen poor performances, and before that we've been going okay, and then they see performances that they don't like. So when we're pleased that they're happy after Palace, when we're pleased that they give us a welcome, we have to understand that they can voice their opinion, and their opinions are right today. So I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding. Alex had some friends that he was concerned about that were sort of at the front of the fans. There's nothing in that. And the players just have to accept that the fans have a right to voice their opinions. And again, they were right today.
There you go. The manager obviously saying he understands the frustration, and rightly so. I mean, I think if he'd have sat there and gone, I don't know what people were upset about, that I think there would have been issues. And I think in general, and this is the one thing that I have quite appreciated about Frank Lampard since he come in, is he has kind of been quite straight with, if we haven't played well, in general, he does kind of say, we weren't good enough, I didn't like this, I didn't like that. Me and him have a little disagreement about how we played against Leicester. I thought we were terrible. He didn't think it was that bad. But in general, he has really turned around most weeks and gone, that wasn't good enough. And I think we all appreciate, we're not stupid fans. We understand what we see and we want to hear it. That being said, we have got to start improving. And in this one, I think we started the game fine. We were we were dominant. We had the first 10 minutes, whatever, we were on 71% possession. It was just like, the caveat to that is a lot of it, we were just passing it around for the sake of it. But we had a couple of half chances. Nathan Patterson got in down the right, put a great ball across. Maupai's reacted too slowly for me. If he goes a little bit quicker, he's got a simple header and it's 1-0. And we've had the Maupai shot and turn, which I think he should have hit the target with. He's put it over. And just when it seemed like we were in control of the game, they break and Garrett, the 1-0 up before you know it.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, right? Big mistake from Jordan Pickford.
Huge mistake.
There's no two ways around it, but, you know, I can let him off for that. He's been sensational this season, right? Before this game, I'm not sure what it is now, but over 80% save percentage. I think second or third in the league for post-shot expected goal over performance, only bettered by Alisson, who we know has, you know, we talk about Pickford saving us. Alisson's been saving Liverpool to an insane degree. But, I mean, I was sitting there in the away end thinking, we look a totally different team than Tuesday. I was like, wow, having our actual players. Best 11 give or take a few due to injury. I was like, wow, it makes such a big difference. It really is just the depth is the issue. And then after 10 minutes, I was like, uh-oh, here we go again. That goal was pretty much against the run of play, but it flipped the momentum so quickly. And heads dropped, it seemed. All of the confidence we had built in that 10 minutes went. I walked into the game thinking, oh, there's no way this could be worse than Tuesday, and I personally think it was because at least we had some very big chances on Tuesday. Tom Davis, you think of sailing it over, and
Gordon's header,
Gordon's header, which had a 0.4 xG or something like that. Like he has to be at least putting that on target, right? In this game, after that Maupay shot and turn, I can think of Tom Kennan's header. And other than that, I don't remember us offering much in the second half.
Albeit had the shot in the first half, but it was a comfortable catch.
Yeah, right on target.
Patterson had a few
shots. And then I remember Gray just absolutely slicing one towards the end of the game, and he looked a very frustrated figure, and rightly so, because he was very poor as well. I thought he came off the bench on Tuesday. I thought he was our best player. Obviously scored a nice goal. Other than that, though, he was quite positive, and then we didn't see any of that on Saturday, did we?
I think if we just go back to the goals, just got a couple of stills here from the goal, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about how easy we make it for the opposition to score. Now the ball comes in and Tarkowski goes and battles for it, and it breaks to Solanke. Now Conor Cody, I think, has been superb for Everton since he come in, but I do not understand why he doesn't just come and close Solanke down here. He allows Solanke to go on and then just use him as a guy to bend it round him. If Cody comes forward, I've got the arrow there, if he steps forward 1 or 2 yards, he's on top of Solanke, and he has to basically turn and give the ball wide or whatever. And we do this so often, we back off, and normally it's in wide areas, and we just allow a cross to come in. I didn't understand that. If you take it on one, you see the ball there, he's gone. Just go back, sorry, Ned, one. On the right of the picture, I've got Tavernier circled.
Yeah.
And Mikalenko needs to know he's there. I don't know whether he does. If you go on one, circled him again, Miko's going in. Now, don't get me wrong, Jordan Pickford should catch this. There's no power in the shot. It's a catch that every goalkeeper basically takes, and Pickford takes 99 times out of 100. He just holds on to that. But we've got to react better. I don't think Miko knows Tavernier is there, and then next one, Ned, is where he's dropped it and he's in beyond him. And the lad's got a simple trap in. And Mike, you played in goal and all that. I mean, when your team is in control of a game like that is, and then your keeper does that, and especially when you know in that team that you haven't really got anything at the top end of the pitch for goals, as Gareth said, confidence went bang and it was gone.
Well, we all felt it, didn't we? I'm sure everyone, the travelling fans, us sat at home, the players, we all had the same feeling, didn't we? It's done. You've got no goals in you. Yeah. So once there's no goals in it, you don't feel like there's any way back. But I think from a Pickford's perspective, he's been one of the better performers this season. It's a mistake there. You're hoping your defenders can get you out the shit, and they haven't reacted quick enough for him as well. But look, it's an absolute glaring error. And he knew it, and it is what it is. But it's how as a team can you react from that? And all over the pitch, and like I listened to Ped's player ratings, and I disagreed with them. I thought, he gave Cody and Tarkowski some decent ratings, and I thought they were as abysmal as everyone else. Just because we like him, you've got to judge him based on the performance. And to me, I thought they were all over the shop. Cody, to me, he looked like he was going to the World Cup next week. That shot there, not quite putting his body on the line. I'm not saying it is, but you get that sort of question. It's not what he's been like all season. The two of them being outstanding. I thought that, in the game of the weekend, I thought Patterson can maybe walk off with his head held high. Iwobi ran round a bit. The rest of them just weren't good enough. Just didn't perform.
They actually, funny you say that, because if you actually go through the things like sofa score, if you want to listen, whether you take anything from that or not, that's done quite analytically, isn't it? You get a rating for how much you do in a game, but whether you think it means anything or not, that's fine. But Patterson and Iwobi were probably two of Everton's better performances anyway on the day. I mean, I think in my play in the summary after the game, I give Patterson the man of the match, because he's the only one for me that never stopped. He's had better games, and he will have better games, but for me, he was still trying to be positive
biggest threat.
near the end. He's the biggest threat. I
In that
think
game.
the goalkeeper, it's such... The problem I have with Jordan Pickford in the last couple... And he's been excellent. But the last few weeks, he's been erratic. Leicester last week, I thought he was dreadful. He was all over the place, flapping at stuff that he normally is dead calm, or has been really calm with. And that on Saturday, I know it's an uncharacteristic mistake because he's been catching stuff like that, but it's at the time when we just didn't need uncharacteristic mistakes, did we? And you're absolutely right, the period, right? It's how you respond to that. And last season, whenever we conceded a goal, once we got into that bad run, whenever we conceded a goal, you could just see the pinprick, couldn't you? And the confidence just went bang. And that's why this break's probably come at the perfect time, because right now, it looks like, I mean, you were there, Garrett, you will have seen the minute that goes in, we just went, here we go. And we couldn't, for the next 5 or 10 minutes, they were all over us.
Yeah, and the away end felt it too. And, you know, we tried to do our part. I mean, especially once that second goal went in, which, by the way, how that isn't stopped.
So we're going to have a look at that.
Yeah, but then I forget who it was for Bournemouth, got hit in the chest, went down, and then, you know, Craig Boston stops play for that. And I was in the away, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now. This is a joke. But, I mean, that first goal goes in. It was the worst possible time for that mistake. Because we need, like, this was a crucial game. And I'll say it, just for going into the break with momentum for the table as well, obviously. But we all knew, especially after Tuesday and after, you know, I agree with you. I thought the performance against Leicester, I was in the street and I thought it was awful. And we needed a good performance. And it looks like, oh, maybe we're going to get it. And then that mistake just it's a game killer. And, you know, as much as we should be able to respond to that and, you know, keep our heads up and continue what we were doing for the first 10 minutes, which was successful, we didn't, and I guess maybe the players don't have the character to do that, or they don't have confidence maybe in the system. And we were talking about, you know, it's not a team that looks like it has goals. Well, the only time it's looked like it has goals is when we were playing in that 4-2-3-1, and we're not playing it. It almost seems like the players kind of realize that, because they look devoid of ideas. The minute they go down 1-0, they're like, oh yeah, we're like, it felt like, oh, we're gonna lose. Like, that's just how it is. So then my question is, you know, we saw a response at Southampton. What happened to that? Where did that go? Because that was, you know, the best possible response we could have wanted after going 1-0 down, probably against the run of play. I thought we were certainly the better team at St. Mary's in the first half. And then we go down 1-0 just through, you know, a sloppy mistake from Idrissa Gueye, Joe Rebo, decent finish, whatever. And then we score 2 goals in 2 minutes or whatever. What happened to that? That was not that long ago.
And that was with Maupay up front.
Exactly.
And the thing to jump on that, you know, Bournemouth are fragile. They've just thrown away 2 massive leads in 2
They lost 4 on the run
games
in the Premier League before that.
But
conceded 30 in the league before coming into this game, I believe. Tied for most in the league with Nottingham Forest.
Only had 2-0.
They were winning the last 2 games as well, weren't they? They were
You know, like 3-1 up at Leeds, and they
threw them away.
Spurs,
You know, on the commentary I was listening to, they were saying, look, if Everton just put a bit of pressure on their crowd's going to feel nervy, their players will feel... Didn't do anything. Mate. They won't have an easier day.
I mean, let's have a look. Let's just have a look at the stills for the second goal, because I'm like you. I cannot believe that this goal was given. You know, the first, that isn't the first shot, but anyway, we've got Tarkowski circled in the middle there, laying down, and I've circled Jordan Pickford as well, who's got his arm up because Tarkowski's laying in the 6-yard box with a head injury, and Craig Pawson, I don't know what's happened with this shot because Craig Pawson is on the original picture. Is looking, and you can see that he can see Tarkowski on the floor. Now, I don't know why Everton didn't. And there you go. See, I know, you know, Ned's just had us off there. I don't know why, as you can see, Pawson's there, can see it. I don't know why we didn't turn around and go over to Tarkowski. Our players, if that was me, and I see me centre-back go down holding his head, I'd walk over to forget what's going on, make the referee make a decision. Right. The Palace game, the ball come in, the lad headed it away, their players went, and the referee blew the whistle, we had the ball in the box. It got stopped twice that day. This clown.
And then the same thing happened, and they got the ball back again.
Now, this clown, and he is a clown, Craig Pawson, he's an absolute clown, allows things to go on, and your man is laying on the floor in the 6-yard box. He allows play to go on. I don't understand why Pickford throws his arms at this. It's going out for a corner.
To be honest, Patterson doesn't deal with it very well either.
No. Well, none of them do really. It should be clear. But again, Tarkowski's still there, laying down on the floor. Take it on one then. And there's Kiefer Moore having to step over James Tarkowski to head in. the goal, and ends up clattering Michalenko, who then has to go off with a head injury as well.
Yeah.
And the referee allows all that to develop. Now that to me is one of the worst decisions I've ever seen, for the simple fact of the head protocols say the minute someone goes down, you stop the game. He allows that to play on for 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds when the lad's laying on the floor with a head injury.
In the most important bit.
And like you said, in the second half, one of their lads runs in and falls over, and he's like that, he can't get the whistle out quick enough.
Yeah.
For nothing.
And he was entirely behind the play. Yeah. We had the ball on a counter-attack. He was completely out. And so, where's the consistency here? If we're like, and I understand and I agree, like head injuries are not something to play with. Like we need to be serious about that. We've seen in the whole world of sport how much that can impact players, well beyond their playing career. It's not even about the game, but the fact that he stops the one in the second half where he didn't even get hit in the head. Like it was square in the chest. The fact he stops that, but then he sees. I mean, do Bournemouth score that goal if James Tarkowski is standing right there in the middle of the box, ready to head it away? So not only is it unfair just in the pure footballing perspective, it's also just incredibly irresponsible considering where he is, considering he's clearly holding his head. He's just been clattered, and it's inexplicable.
Yeah. Do you know what as well? If they'd have gone back and sort of disallowed the goal through VAR in terms of just going, you should. I honestly don't think the Bournemouth players would have even argued about it. I genuinely don't. I don't think their bench would have been up in roar.
Well, because you would have said, why is the goal being disallowed? And you'd say, well, A, the lad's got a head injury.
Yeah.
And B, he's laying on the floor. And like Gareth just said, if he was up with nothing, he would have dealt with it anyway. And your players had to step over him to head the ball.
And Cody couldn't quite get back because he's lying on the floor.
So I honestly think they'd have just gone, but it's a head injury. There's no real thing. Do we deal with head injuries or do we leave them? Well, we deal with them because they're dealt with all over the pitch because they have to be.
Unless Bournemouth are about to score. Unless Everton are about to concede, I think would be actually the caveat. That's when you don't deal with head injuries, right?
You see, I've had a problem with Craig Pawson. The first game he ever refereed, Everton was Wolves under Silva. Day one, he set Jack Elker off for winning the football. And then he allowed them to walk forward.
To take it about 6 yards
10 yards
and
he's had Everton off ever since. He's cheated Everton ever since. He's a disgrace, the fella. He's a disgrace. But that on Saturday is different level because it's irresponsible. It's not him seeing a decision wrong, because I actually think Lewis Cook should have been sent off in the second half for simply jumping through the air.
He completely lost control of the game, and this was what started it. And do I think it would have changed the result? No. But the fact,
but you need the opportunity to as well, don't you?
You're not wrong. I think even if they had disallowed it, they still would have just gotten momentum. The ball hit the back of the net. Like
what I was going to say was, I'm not using this as an excuse to say why Everton lost, by the way, because it's not. It isn't. That to me was just mind-blowing that it was so obviously
and the caveat to it as well, from a player perspective, like you say, when you haven't played football, you do play to the referee's whistle, and our team are naive there as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a level of naivety. I think, albeit 100%, it should have been stopped, the rule should be stopped, but you deal with the ball and then you confront the referee.
Yeah, we shouldn't be in that situation in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's one of them, isn't it? There's loads of things. I'm not much of making an issue. I think the manager should have called all the players over to him. No, why? No, but you know why? And people might laugh at that. Fine, but it's about you've got to start highlighting things. Yeah, I think 100%. we just get brushed aside. Yeah. You bring them all over as if you're going to take them off. Go to the referee. Not having this, mate. Not having that, because that is a disgrace. You're putting the spotlight on Craig Pawson. It's a talking point.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Why are they all like that? What's happening? Why is there such an uproar? And then the situation gets highlighted. Everton have let him, as far as I'm concerned, the manager and the players have let him off with 100%. An absolutely woeful decision, which is dangerous. It's absolutely dangerous what he's done on Saturday. Would it change the game? No, I don't think it would. Even if he did this lad, I think Bournemouth wanted it more. I'm not using it as an excuse. Yeah. But things like that can't happen. I think we have to box a bit cleverer with that as well. And you have to make a stand. You have to make a stand. Would he have took the players down the tunnel into the dressing room? Of course he wouldn't, but make a big thing of it. Pull them over. What's going on here? Make an issue out of it.
Make a news story out of it.
Hang on a sec. Look what's happened. How is this allowed? Because you'll get the skeleton on Sky Sports. So they probably going, it's the correct decision. Because that fella's deaf, dumb and stupid. I think some of the things you hear him come out with, he hasn't got a clue. Gallagher, he's not got a clue. has he? But you've got to make an issue of things. But that isn't me defending Everton, by the way, because Bournemouth were the better side and deserved the win.
Yeah.
And we were poor. But that, to me, was a absolutely shocking decision. I'm fitted in with kind of... It only would have been more believable if Everton would have made the decision. That's how bad it was, the decision. It fitted in with Everton's performance as well.
To be honest, it just summed up the whole first 15 games of the season so far, really.
Yeah. I mean, and from that, Garrett, you were there, obviously, from that 2-0 down. It's literally done, isn't it? It's done.
Yeah,
what was the feeling like in the away end at that stage?
Despair, I think would be a good way to put it. I mean, just all the life sucked out of you. Anger, definitely a lot of anger. Not only because it is a shocking decision. At the same time, it's not surprising because it's not like we haven't been on the end of a plethora of incredibly bad decisions.
Let me ask you this though, being there, was the disbelief amongst the fans that had been allowed, or did people just did it happen too quickly? Because watching it on the telly, it was obvious that it was a head injury and it needed to be stopped.
Yeah,
I imagine when you're there, sometimes you're looking where the ball is, you might notice.
Yeah, I didn't really notice it until I mean. The thing was then Kiefer Moore scores ahead and then there's just bodies in the 6-yard box and in the goal like it's a battlefield. And, it took me a second to figure out what was going on, but then I was hearing what other people were saying and I was like, okay, it should have been disallowed. And then that feeling was definitely, that sense of injustice was definitely heightened when in the second half he stops the game immediately and we're all you've got to be you're taking the piss right now. Right? It was a joke. But in terms of disbelief, I wouldn't say maybe it was anger, but I wouldn't say disbelief because as much as we were saying, it can't be as bad as Tuesday, as soon as it was, I kind of wasn't surprised. I was like, this is pretty Everton of us to do. I was definitely resigned to it and being like, I should have seen this coming, naive of me to think that we'd have a better performance and then we'd, go do that. So I don't know. It was, I
mean... It's we'll probably just cut and edit this bit and put it into quite a few of the final words because it is worrying how poor we are up front. See, I don't know whether you agree. I think the keeper's fine.
Yeah.
Would definitely. Sometimes I'd rather just have a bigger, more solid goalie than
where we are right now.
But I think he's fine. England's number one.
He's a top half.
Yeah, he's not. You don't look at it and go, "Oh my God, Jordan Pickford's the problem," do you? No. I think defensively, we're fine to do. I know people can disagree. It's only my opinion. Remember, I am not the oracle. It's just me. And I think midfield. I'm with you. I think the players are there. I think we've got 4. The cut 4.5. I think Tom Davis has dropped off at the minute. The core.
No, not for me.
He's the half. That's what I'm saying. He's the half. Okay. He could probably drop him in to do a bit of a job. But I think the other 4 are the and I think if you got which we showed against Palace with the 2 and the 1, there's a good balance there. But that final third, should we be surprised? We've scored 11 goals in 15 games.
Yeah.
Right. We've got Anthony Gordon's our top scorer with 3. Okay. We've got Dwight McNeil's got 2. Damari Gray's got
2.
1 in the Premier League, though, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's only got 1, hasn't he?
Just
against Forest, isn't it?
Because
he's got 2 in the cups, hasn't he? He's got 3, hasn't he?
Fleetwood
and the other night.
Oh, yeah, and the other night.
So he's got, but in the Premier League, he's got 1, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Neil Maupay's got 1. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's got 1. And that's it. From a front players, that's it.
Yeah.
So should we be surprised that we're struggling for goals? Because we can have 8 players who we all go, that's not bad, actually. That ain't bad. But then the front 3 are where the money is and where...
So, I've got a bit of a probably different opinion than some people. So, obviously, those front players are not good enough, right? So we know that. We need to improve those players, 100%. But are they good enough in terms of in the right system and in the right team to survive? They've got to be. I mean, last season, how many goals did Gray get? 7 or 8?
7 also, I think, of 5 Premier League goals.
So as a player there can get 7 goals. You've got Anthony Gordon, where a Champions League,
4, didn't he?
Champions League teams in the summer bidding for them. So there's potential in there. Obviously, Dwight McNeil. We'll leave that to Pede. Dwight McNeil. Neil Maupay, average about 8 Premier League goals. And obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin, when he's fully fit, is certainly a top half striker.
Yeah.
So there is enough goals there. if you find the right way of getting the ball to them and getting them to do the right jobs within the right system. And when I say there's enough goals there for the team to stay up. Like that, I'm not talking about challenging for a top half or whatnot. But I really don't feel like we've got any attacking idea or threat, or that the players don't look like there's a system.
We're averaging 0.7 goals a game.
Yeah, I mean, look, the returns abysmal.
We got 3 in a game.
The returns abysmal.
But that inflates it a lot
massively.
as well.
Yeah,
massively.
But the team don't look like they understand what they're trying to do in the final third.
Do you think, let me ask you this, right? Do you think that the structure's in place, right? So we've got a structure in place in terms of defence and the midfield, but the top looks to me like it's off the cuff. So the top looks to me like basically get out and just see what happens, make something happen.
I mean, I'm sure it isn't, but that's what it looks like, and that's what it appears to be. And obviously those players aren't capable of that. And that's what I'm saying. So if that's what you're asking them to do, they won't do that because they're not capable of it. But if you ask them to just simplify the game and give them a real structure to what you're asking them to do.
What would you like to see?
So for me, I think if you're playing the 4-3-3 in its purest form, I feel like we've got players that could do enough to sort of get a mid-table. But in the situation we're in and different stuff and players' confidence and out of form, I would have liked to have seen Lampard at least change something. Now, whether that be, let's just take one of these wingers out the team, let's add another midfielder in, let's change it around. I don't necessarily know exactly what formation or what system, but let's change something. Do we get Garner in there to be able to get some shots away? Because also, for the lack of the goals from front three, the lack of goals from midfield, diabolical as well. It's and the lack of goals from defence.
Who's that?
Iwobi scored one.
We had one against United, and that's it. We've had 72 corners. Onana's 6'5". Yeah. We have 0 goals from corners.
From corners,
yeah. So
1 from set piece, right? What the McNeil one against Southampton, but other than that, I don't think we've scored from the set piece.
We got the Cody one, didn't we, when he put it in and Onana headed it.
That's the one at Southampton.
So
other than
that was almost second phase, wasn't it? Because it was a ball and a knockdown, wasn't it?
So,
wasn't it the direct?
So it isn't just the front three is what I'm trying. So for all that balance, you go, the defence is only so much they can do without the front three, but the front three is only so much they can do without the support of the other team. Would we be questioning Gray? Gray's got 1 goal, McNeil's got 2, Gordon's got 3. Would we be really highlighting that if Cody had got a couple, Garner's rattled a couple in, Iwobi's got another 2? So no, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they don't. They all need replacing. I don't think any of them good enough. But my thing is that in the 15 games that we've had so far this season, do we have enough quality within our squad to come up with a system and a way of creating chances and scoring goals? Absolutely, we have. Bournemouth do not have better players than us in the final third, yet they score goals and look a threat. In fact, every team in the Premier League looks more of a threat. They have worse players. So that's where my
question...
Not every
team.
Well...
No, you said every team looks a threat and has worse players.
Oh, yeah.
But now every team looks a threat. No, you're right.
Yeah,
apart from maybe Wolves.
Yeah.
Who are dreadful.
Yeah, devoid of ideas.
They scored 7 goals.
Yeah, and that's...
We'll see what Lopetegui does with them. But just going back to what you said,
but you can't make, there's no goals in them either, and they'll struggle.
No, you're not wrong. But they still have some, I think Matheus Nunes has looked pretty good for them personally. I was actually at Molineux when they played City, and Nathan Collins' horrible challenge got sent off. That pretty much consigned them to the loss. But just going back to what you said about off the cuff, Baz, to me it looks like it's very structured, and we know exactly what we're doing, but we have Mopé instead of DCL, and we don't change the game plan based on that. You think Graham Potter was playing lump ball into the box with Mopé up top when Brighton were at their best? No, he's a link-up player. You play him to feet, he plays other people in.
What do you think the structure is for the final third?
I mean, we want to cross it in, but we don't.
But if you look at the number of crosses, we don't.
And when we signed McNeil, I was like, okay, this screams to, okay, how are we replacing Richarlison? We need to get DCL back up into double figures, right? Because what's McNeil's best attribute is he has a very good delivery. He has a good left foot, right? Maybe he's not the best at creating the space for himself. He's not the best at driving forward. Other than that goal against Palace was nice. But when DCL's out and he's injured, and this is, I still think the biggest problem is that the team is built, the personnel is built to work with DCL. And Mopé, he's a hard worker. he kind of fits what Lampard wants in a player, but he doesn't fit that system at all, and it doesn't seem like he's changed it, despite the fact that we've seen DCL play one game where he's looked like himself. And is it a coincidence we scored 3 goals in that game?
Yeah.
And we looked so much better going forward when DCL was himself? But then, if we know he's not, and we know that he's very injury prone at this point, then Lampard has to change the ideas because it looks the same and it clearly does not work.
I look at us when we attack and we don't overlap our fullbacks, we don't put crosses into the penalty area. It just seems like the wide players just get it and do whatever they feel like doing. And a lot of the time, that's past the ball back.
That one dribble Gray had when he cut back about 6 times instead of just delivering it in on the first try.
And then ends up overhitting it for a goal.
Yep.
The thing is every time Gordon or Dwight McNeil pick the ball up, you may as well just turn it off because you're losing the ball. They just run into a blind alley. I don't. And this thing of McNeil's delivery, I heard about that before we signed him. I haven't seen it. His stats at Burnley last season, didn't get any assists with 2 big lumps up front. Where's that delivery? I don't know. I'm not saying he hasn't got one. But I haven't seen it.
No, players. I don't think we can have a go at the manager and the numbers would encourage, not encourage it, but the numbers would justify you questioning the manager, absolutely, without a shadow. But I don't think we can step away from the fact
players are going to take responsibility.
People are underperforming. You go on that, you cross that white line, you've got to do the job.
So you say how many corners we had? 70?
We've had 70-something corners, zero
don't look at threat.
Those lads on the pitch have got to attack that ball, haven't they?
Of course, we don't even, we look better defending. Mostly we look better defending them than we do. Last year every corner was a goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We look much better defensively, but offensively we're horrific.
I mean, Jayden Anthony's goal, the third one, that was the first.
Highlight it.
That was the first set piece that we've conceded from
directly.
Yeah,
since
but
Brentford.
He had the freedom of this. It's almost like the players just decided to give him.
Well,
you could not give him a more free header if you tried to.
We'll go back to that goal. And just have a look at Neil Maupai's stats from the weekend. We're talking about him. 26 shots. Imagine 26 touches. Jeez.
Probably still wouldn't have scored one.
God, 1 on target, 1 off target, 8 accurate passes, lost possession 11 times. I think that is. I can't remember his shot on target, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know what that shot.
I remember the spin and smashing it wide.
And it was actually it was a decent chance. It was on the far end of the pitch, but as soon as he missed, I was like, that was a good. That was
the one that he put over. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he hits the target, he scores. And Damari Gray's, because we just mentioned him, 63 touches, no shots on target, 1 off target, successful crosses, none out of 8. Possession lost 10 times.
So, some of the corners, like some of Gray, for example, I think he was taking the most of the corners. Some of his deliveries were better than ones we've seen earlier this season.
Yeah.
He likes to hit the front man a lot, obviously.
Loves it.
But even if he puts it in the box, no one's making runs, no one's attacking the ball, and then, where you have Calvert-Lewin, who's arguably, one of the best strikers in the world early, instead you have Neil Maupay, who's about my height and is not going to be winning headers against the likes of Philip Billing and Dominic Solanke and whoever.
No chance. And then if we have a look, the final one obviously was Dwight McNeil. 53 touches, no shots on target, 2 shots blocked, 1 out of 4 successful crosses.
There's your delivery.
And lost, there's the delivery, yeah.
I mean, it's...
Lost possession 11 times.
But this, it begs the question, doesn't it? Because obviously, again, is so-called delivery. But why doesn't he take the corners? If I see Damari Gray take another corner, Jesus Christ. I mean, you don't have to be a football manager. He can't take a corner. I know, okay, maybe they were slightly better this week, but as a whole, they are absolutely woeful.
Gordon's are shocking too.
When we take a corner,
when
we take a corner, how often do we attack it and get a header at the goal?
The odd one, isn't it?
I saw one against Leicester from Tarkowski last week.
Yeah.
And that's probably the first one for a while where we've crossed it and one of our players has headed that goal.
I mean, when was the last time that we scored one? Was it Michael Keane against Leeds? Is that the last one? Because it feels like that's about how long ago it was.
Yeah,
quite possibly.
Got to be a while ago.
I know Keane's against, in the Palace game was off a free kick.
But that was a second phase.
Exactly. So direct from the delivery. I mean, we don't have the players really to do it.
Well, that was Anthony Gordon taking that one.
Yeah, but even if we do have the players to do it, which with Calvert-Lewin out, we just simply don't. It's not like the delivery is good enough anyway. So we haven't even come close to scoring one.
We had that Onana headed one over against Leicester, I think, at 0-0 last week. A corner at the park end, headed it open like miles, and he jumped on his own. If you can't head the ball straight, what hope have you got?
No, there's that balance, isn't it, between the delivery's woeful,
Do we want it enough?
You know, yeah, I mean, for me by now, when you've got a Tarkowski and a Cody in your team, you'd have expected them to have got on an end. You know.
We had one at Fulham, didn't we, where a free header Tarkowski's got to score, and he had to straight at the keeper.
Statistically at Burnley, he was very good from set pieces. I think.
And
he was
Cody.
The FB ref.
Cody got 4 goals last season.
I think Tarkowski had 4 as well, because he was like 83rd percentile for non-penalty goals among centre backs. But he was like 90-something percentile for touches in the attacking penalty area, which means he was also the one knocking it down for the second phase. We've seen none of that.
He added one over on Saturday, if you remember. I think it might have been in the second half, early on. He added it on top of the net. He should have done better.
It all blends together for me, Baz.
It will. Listen, it will do.
The fume clouds your vision.
No, it will do, because it wasn't very good. But what I'm saying is, on Saturday, I just remembered we took either a corner or a free kick. I think it was a corner at 2-0, and he won the header, but he just headed it on top of the net. And it was like, you've got to hit the target there.
You'd be thinking we play American football with the amount that we like to put things over the bar. You think about at Spurs, Onana and Gray, the two fast breaks. I was there for that as well.
But it is what it is. But the third goal, you mentioned it before, because we have been better off set pieces for the third. And we give it, again, I'm not convinced it was a foul in the first place, but he give it. So you get on with it, don't you? We've got to be able to defend the straight ball into the penalty area. If we have a look at the stills here, we've got, this is before it's coming in, I've got a Wobie circled there. Ned, make that smaller, because what you've done there is you've almost, see, that's the key bit, Ned, thank you. The key bit is Alex Iwobi, and he's not even put him on.
He's some sick today, isn't he?
So, well, that's because Alex Iwobi's the key thing. He's not even got him on. I've got Iwobi circled here because he's marking Jayden Anthony. He's in his viewpoint. And at the weekend, when it first went in, the first replay, I thought it was Tarkowski's fault, because he's there as well. Yeah. And he gets attracted. But he doesn't. He runs with Solanke, who he should do, because he's in front of him. It's Alex Iwobi there, and he's got Anthony so he can see him. So it's his man. Take it on one, please, Ned, if you don't mind. So Iwobi, there he is in the middle. So Tarkowski's has made the run to, again, make that a little bit smaller, please, Ned. Drag it in a little bit forward.
I mean, even on that first
drag it in a little bit.
He's not touch tight, and he's not really goal side. He's
he's just level with him.
Anthony just has to run diagonally straight towards
they're on a sprint now. The ball's in midair, and they're on a sprint. And then if we take it on to the final one, there's a Wobie circle. Anthony's got the header in, and he's behind him.
He's behind him.
And Pickford do there. The lad's on top of him.
No, I mean, he almost saved it too.
No, he got a hand on. He's not saving it. And it's little things like that. Is that your defenders, like Tarkowski's marking his man, so that's coming in. Now, Alex Iwobi's not Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You know, he's not going to rise and head it away. But you can't let someone have a free run. No. So what you have to do there, once you just run across him, so the lad has to move to get round you. If you just run, and it gets to you first, what can I do?
He wasn't marking him at all in that sequence. He was never goal side. He was never touch tight.
So what are you doing? If you're back there, what are you doing? If you're attacking and I'm defending,
he might as well not be there at all.
Exactly.
He might as well be up the pitch ready for a fast break.
He's had a little run with him.
Useless.
And the lad's got a free header.
Was he too worried about what was going on in the way in by then?
Nah, it wasn't at that stage. But the thing with, and you know, listen, you can in isolation, but it's in isolation where you win and lose games of football. I know that was 3-0.
But that was the thing. What were we saying? Flippantly,
but then if it's 2-0, with even 15 minutes left and you get a goal, they've been throwing. Spurs were 2 down with half an hour left.
But we could still be down in Bournemouth now.
We
wouldn't get a goal, would we?
Let's have it right.
Listen,
and they know it. The players on the pitch know it.
Listen, I know I am talking like a massive fantasist here, but what I'm saying is, just me point I'm trying to say, and please don't misinterpret it. The point is, we can say that, and listen, I was sat there drinking a cup of tea thinking we could play all night without Bournemouth on the pitch and we wouldn't score.
Yeah.
But you can't keep throwing things in your own net. No. And that was what we did with the first goal. I can sit here and go, keeper catches the first goal. 18 minutes gone on Saturday, we were in control.
Yeah.
70% possession, we were in control. Pickford catches it, and we're on the attack. It's different.
Second goal
shouldn't have stood. And the third goal, Iwobi's got to mark better. Right, and that's what I imagine Frank Lampard and the coaching staff will sit down and look when you go through the game. Yeah. Dead easy as a fan to be emotional. I was emotional, not as bad as I have been, but when I'm talking with my dad and my mate, and we're just trying, I'm just like, well, they're crap, aren't they? Because that's just pathetic. And it is pathetic because they're professional footballers. The coaching side of it has to be more analytical and dissect it properly. And you look and go, well, if our goalie catches that, we're on the attack. The second goal shouldn't stand. And the third goal's poor, we can do something about the third goal. But Alex Iwobi, I'm just talking about individual. If I'm Alex Iwobi, I have to do more. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's 2-0. Yeah, I've got to stop.
You score. That was the not wanting it thing, which I don't always buy into that. Like, oh, they wanted it more. It's like, no, you were just bad and you were tactically inept and like just poor on the ball. But in that sense, that's he just looks like he didn't care. But also, what I was going to say is, 7 goals across 2 games. Were any of them any good at all? Not really. I mean, you could say Jaden Anthony, the 4th goal on Tuesday, he did well, did a little cutback, but he was only in that position because Patterson gave it away running towards his own goal. Like, all 7 of those goals were crap.
Yeah, I mean, Leicester's 2
all
goals.
All of them, we threw them in our own
Leicester's 2 goals were good goal. Well, the second one, the Corey giveaway, the first Tielemans. But
it was still a very good finish.
But even Tielemans, we dealt with pathetically.
Yeah, I mean, every goal you can obviously always work down to a mistake.
But what we mean, Tielemans flicked it up and smashed it up.
Fair play,
but you're right, the 4 goals Bournemouth have scored. Without, and Bournemouth fans will disagree with, of course they will, but what I'm talking about, they haven't had to do that much.
No, first goal was a deflection. Begovic gave whoever it was just a tap in,
dropped it.
Saved a shot right into his path. I mean, they were all
But that's because Michael
unmarked.
We slipped for the second.
And that was kind of my thoughts coming out of the game as well. At least Lampard will never play Michael Keane after that, surely, because if he has a brain at all,
I'll play him up front.
I'll put him up front.
I mean, he's literally better up front than he is at the back.
Dan Shannon videos.
Outside of the left boot against Palace. Okay, sir.
But it's one that, listen, it is what it is.
Can we not talk about Tuesday as well, as we're talking about this one? Jesus Christ.
Do you want to talk about Tuesday?
No, I'm saying don't. Let's not talk about the Tuesday.
I want to say, have you not had enough?
But the thing is, it's a different team. It's 11 changes. It's the different team, but it's the exact same thing. Yeah. It is the exact same thing.
Well, that's what I thought was funny, because obviously you come out, didn't you? Just context, I don't know what to talk about Tuesday. We come out on Tuesday, absolutely slated the players, and they absolutely slated them. And then obviously he's thinking, I can't just all my squad because I can't do the same again. But they put in the exact same level of performance as what.
I mean, if you look, let's have a look at the stats before we
cry.
16 shots for Bournemouth, 15 for Everton, 9 on targets for Bournemouth, 3 for Everton, 3 big chances, 1 for Everton, 36% possession for Bournemouth, 64 for Everton. If you look as an away performance, 15 shots, 64% possession. I think a lot of managers would be happy with that. The problem is on target 3.
The problem is that most of those shots came when we were 3-0 down.
Yeah, and from a mile out.
So that's where stats...
but you say, and again, stats though, because a lot of theirs were from miles out.
Yeah, but you look at their expected goals, it's almost 3. You look at ours, it's less than 1.
It's 3 because basically Kiefer Moore's headed one that's on the goal line.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And then an unmarked header. But still, the quality of their chances were undoubtedly better.
Listen, I'm not Bournemouth deserve to win. If that looks tight, Bournemouth deserve to win. There's no question.
And we had so much of the ball. But
don't do anything
with Onana played high and with Gay having, we're knocking it around the back. We were almost completely unable to play through lines unless Bournemouth had just gotten at us, right? If Bournemouth were staying in their shape when they did, we didn't have a chance. Like the only time we looked dangerous at all is when they had just been on the attack and we were trying to counter.
But don't we? This is a problem I have with us, is that we knock it around. But the odd time we've got to break on them, and what I mean is a direct move.
We just go backwards.
We turn and pass it. Like with the one we did early on with Patterson, we actually, because he just runs at them, he got beyond and put a tremendous ball in. And I think if Dom's in, it's 1-0, because he anticipated. Maupai was, what's that? Oh, I'll go now, and it goes across his head. And a striker on the move has just got a little header, you're winning 1-0 3 or 4 minutes in. But that was the one rare occasion where we just went, we're going for it. Too often, we'll break. And I'm talking like Anthony Gordon and Damari Gray here, because they're the ones who run. Dwight McNeil slows things down. They'll break and get almost 1v1, and then we stop and turn back, and it comes back, and we start, and it's like, what are you hoping to achieve when you turn back? It's not like we've got someone in the middle like James Rodriguez who's going to bend the ball round, or Kevin De Bruyne who can hang. Yeah. So it's like, what are you doing? And I guess this leads into what you're saying before. We can break we can distill the front 4 down and go, doesn't get enough, doesn't do enough, and that's right, because they don't. You glue them all together, you haven't got an average Premier League winger yet, have you? Because the goal, without put, I mean, The output's not there. Anthony Gordon's got a ceiling because he's a young lad. I get that. Dwight McNeil, you might be able to use as part of the squad. I'm not sure. Maupay isn't in a one. He's not in a one.
Not in anything, is he? Let's just have it right. He's just not good enough.
But but Maupay needs, for me, he needs to be a second striker. And you have to create chances.
We haven't really
we don't do that.
Other than, DCL getting thrown on against United when we're losing, we need a goal. And then they also, Lampard also threw on Rondon and whatever. And we haven't seen that. That's you were talking about, maybe changing something going forward. I mean, if DCL's fit, after the 6 weeks, I wouldn't mind seeing DCL and Maupay trying to play off each other. When we first signed Maupay, I was like, okay, well, obviously he's a deputy to DCL when DCL's fit. But I think they could do well together, and that's what Maupay's best
You'd
at doing.
You'd have to almost change the way they play. I don't know whether he will. But what I'm saying is, at least try to emphasise, I think what you were saying, at least try to play to whatever strengths they've got then. Also say to them, just simplify your game. But if you're two wide players, right, and you get 1v1, go past and put a cross in, and you say to the other, it's basic,
but it's basic.
Your other winger, run in behind your forward. Man City, Sterling's made a living out of running in at the back post and going, I'm a tap in from a yard out, 20 goals. We don't.
Do you know if you're Damari Gray and Anthony Gordon and you are beating your man and putting your cross in, you can turn around and go I'm doing my job.
Yeah, all day long.
The same as Cody and Tarkovsky and go, we're doing our job
the lad
in a minute.
You can.
Pardon? It hasn't got that bad, Baz. No. Not quite that bad yet.
You can have a go at your centre forward and your other winger and your midfielder who's not breaking into the box.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you're never crossing it, I can tell you, I can look at Neil Maupay and go, not convinced, right? But he could sit opposite me and go, sound, don't mind you having that opinion, but go and have a look at my numbers. Have a look at what I'm giving. Am I missing 5 chances a game? And you'd go, no. Like, now you could argue, well, you should be getting more chances anyway from your movements.
Yeah.
But I remember the derby. He made 2. I know we missed the glorious one at the street end. But in that game, he made 2 brilliant little runs round the back and we slid him in. And he scuffed one. If Anthony Gordon gambles, he's got a tap in a yard out. And it's like, where's that gone? West Ham was the same. Good little movements around the box.
This is what I'm saying about patterns of play. Then? But this is what I'm saying about patterns of playing from the manager perspective. Is that, so if Maupay's good at that, then play to that.
Try and do more.
We can't just go, well, Maupay's not DCL. All right, well, we know Premier League manager. Like we've said, at any level of football, you've got to work out the best way. You don't keep just doing the same thing that's shite week after week and go, well, that's just not good enough. Well, what are we waiting for to go down then?
Let me ask you, we don't have our first choice striker as an excuse. Well, you have a different striker who is Premier League quality. He's scored goals in this league. He can play with the ball at his feet. He's a good link-up player. But as I was saying, we just try to do the same thing as if he's DCL and then say, he's not DCL, so it's a write-off. No, play, as you say, play to his strengths. Do what he can do.
Tremendous little round the corner early on. Saturday, almost got a Wobie in. Maupay, come in, he's played the third.
Just over it.
If a little bit off it, a Wobie was 1v1.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. I think you're both right. We do have to kind of do that. We have to look at ways, I think, of being able.
I'm sick of, of being an Evertonian. Either.
Just sick, is that it?
That's it. See you later, I'm off.
Yeah, we're all done.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank God for the World Cup. No, I'm sick of, for the last 2, maybe 3 years, waiting for someone to get back from injury or waiting for the fucking transfer window. Yeah. We've got managers.
I apologise for the F-bombs on my street.
I don't. No, I'm sorry. So
I would have dropped them hours ago.
So you're not supposed to.
So for me, with that situation there, you've got to have a case of coming up with solutions. You can't just keep waiting and waiting and waiting. You've got what you've got. Work out ways of trying to cause the other team problems. It's just basic.
Right. Before we finish, and this just very briefly, right?
Can we get pedant about Dwight McNeil?
No. Oh. Do we think that this is a problem that that the manager? It's one of those things where he's fixated on an idea of how he wants to play, and he's not being able to be flexible. Not because he was flexible last season. He did go away from his principles, but in terms of trying to develop it, so we've gone from being ultra defensive to trying to play a bit more offensive, and we don't quite know how to bridge it together. Or is it a case of, and it's something like you were just saying before, is that we've got Dom, we haven't got Dom, we're still doing the same thing. Is that a case of, because he was such a good footballer and played in such good teams, it's like, well, this will work because it's worked when I was playing, and yet our players, do you know the way some top
that's an
players
interesting
can't
thought.
make allowances for players that simply can't do what he could do.
Oh, like the whole like Thierry Henry thing. You
Yeah,
see
that kind of thing. And we
Yeah.
see it. Listen, we see it with we've seen lots of unbelievable footballers not be able to manage because. But the biggest one's Roy Keane, is it? Roy Keane fumes when players can't do what he could do. And Glenn Hoddle's another one who's often spoken about, tremendous footballer, but couldn't handle the fact that a midfield player couldn't pull a ball out the sky and then hit a 50-yard ball onto someone's foot because he found it so easy. Is there a little bit of that with Frank Lampard, do you think?
It's a good question.
It's difficult to say.
I mean, see, for me,
I mean, the one thing I'd say is we were talking, before we went live about Onana and how he was talking about how he's been training with Lampard and Lampard wants to make him this attacking threat, and I think that's naive. So maybe that is kind of getting towards the, not so much as they can't do what I did and then not changing, but more of, like Onana's, sure, getting him better going forward would be great. That's not what he's best at. That's not what we should be trying to have him do. We're pushing him too far forward. We bring him back, we put him next to Ghana, we see what the results are. But for some reason, Lampard has this notion of wanting, Onana to be some incredible attacking midfielder, when really if you should be working on that with anybody, it should be Alex Iwobi. Because as much as he's been great with the assists, as you said, we need more goals from midfield, and he's the one who should be the furthest forward and, on the edge of the box. He had the one against United, which was a perfect example of what he should be doing more often. So I'm not sure if it really plays into the former player kind of thing that you're talking about there. But the fact that he's, working on that with Onana instead of actually putting him in his best position and putting him in a spot in the team that literally makes everyone else better as well, I don't really understand what he's doing with that. So maybe that it could be playing into something like that you're mentioning there, Baz.
Mike, to finish.
Yeah, so I think with that as well, you've got. What's disappointing me with it is it's not just Lampard. He's got a good team there.
Yeah, he has, yeah.
So that disappoints me a bit because, Clement's got a lot of experience. Don't get me wrong, some of the others haven't got as much experience either. They're quite young and new into the roles.
Right.
Yeah, but they're quite new into their roles as well. But Clement's the older guy, more experienced guy, has been around Europe. You would feel, or I would like to see that someone's getting a grasp of this now. And that's my problem is, I'm really getting frustrated with just waiting for players to come back, waiting for chance. If we keep doing that, you'll never develop. You've got to work with what you've got as well. In the meantime, his job's to pick up results at Everton Football Club, and right now he isn't, is he?
One of them needs to stand up to Lampard or something. I'm not, I can't say for sure, but it kind of seems like they might be being yes men because it doesn't seem like there's really much impetus to change things when they need to be changed, and it's it's clear as day.
Well, I suppose if they all believe in the plan, then why would you? So
because it's not working. And
no. Not at all.
The plan's crap.
At the end of the day, it's a very simple one, like you've just said. It's their job. All of them, the squad as well, the players. It's all of their jobs to get better results. And I believe this team should be getting better results than it is, and that's the way it is.
And I was going to say, and that's why I as much as Digne leaving pained me, I love that, we kind of learned that the reason he left is that he stood up to Rafa Benitez and said, hey, this is crap. We are better players than this dross football you have us playing right now. And, it's ridiculous that we sacked Benitez a week after we let him ship off one of our best players. But, we need someone to do that and be like, hey, you don't think, I think Iwobi and Onana and Gay should know, based on being on the field, that, hey, having the two of us in the double pivot and Iwobi in front of us works. So why isn't one of them saying that? I get it's the manager's job and you don't argue with the manager, but you feel like with all the heads in that room, they should be able to realize, hey, maybe we should go back to the one thing that worked this whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Let's leave it there because we could just continue to go round in circles. So big thanks to Gareth, big thanks to Mike. As always, let us know what you think in the comments section below. We're going to carry on with some questions on Premier, so if you want to become a Premier member, click the link in the description. Otherwise, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you later.